Okay, coming up. This is the awkward bit. Okay, so meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. Okay, so I'm just going to say a couple of words like blah, 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 to make sure that we're actually in the group. So, hey guys, hope you all had a wonderful day. I hope you all have a wonderful day if you're not yet started. So we have Jessica joining us today, and I'm just going to let Jessica tell you all what she does and how she does it. She's amazing. Thanks, Jessica.
Yay! Well, it's great to be here. I hope everyone can hear me. We don't even see the thumbs up on this version, so I'm assuming all is good. And I am happy to be joining you from Toronto. So here it's only 11 o'clock, so I've had a few hours, couple coffees, and still lots to do today. But this is really fun. This is I always enjoy sort of sharing some ideas and hearing from people and kind of having a discussion about what are some of the ways we can approach like productivity, this idea that we're trying to not just get stuff done, but get the right stuff done. I mean, I think that's a big part of it is, during the pandemic and all of our lives have been uprooted and changed so much. It's like, how is it that we're at home so much and feel busier? I mean, I know I hear that from the people around me, and I know I feel it myself. So it's like, man, we have all this time. Like, what are we doing with it? What's going on? So in my work, I help people to manage that, to better manage how they use their time, how they use their attention, or what they're paying attention to. And the third piece is really interesting. It's about space, about physical space and how that affects productivity. So I'm really interested in, I love when people have these moments of, oh my gosh, this change that I made here affects me over here. And whether it's your calendar, your how you deal with which social media places you're going to during the day, what's your schedule like, and what's your office like what's the space you're actually physically working in. All those things come into play, and they all feed off of each other. So we're trying to get past this sense of floundering around and not knowing what to do and when to do it and what do I do first, that kind of thing. So I really it's great. So I thought maybe I could share a few slides. So I'm hoping, so Kim, I'm just doing a slide share screen. Do you think that'll work? Because I think sometimes visually.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
okay, there you go.
Do we see it? Oh, good. Okay. I see it on my screen. Do you see it? Good. Okay, wait. I want to go from the beginning, right? There we go.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Go back. There we go. Okay. So this is where it all comes down to sometimes. Get more shit done, right? And again, it's get more good shit. I should add that word in because I think that's part of it, right? We're so, there's so many things coming at us from all these different parts in our lives, and getting it done is hard. And so how do you optimize your 24 hours, the ability you have to focus on things with your attention, and how do you optimize the space, the physical place that you're doing it in? So that's what I do. So my name is Jessica Tudos, and that's where you can find me, jessicatudos.com. You can, that's where there's more stuff. And I help people transform clutter into clarity and a lot more to be more productive. Because when we think about the impact of doing this, of actually paying attention to, oh my gosh, what's my time look like? What does my calendar look like? What am I paying attention to? And where am I doing it? It affects us on a physical level. It affects us mentally, like, whoa. It affects how our digital world is, especially now, right? We're spending a lot of time online. So how does that, what does that look like? How do we optimize that? Our emotional state, for sure. Again, this pandemic has really shown us so many sides of our emotional capabilities and frustrations and all of it. So how do we optimize that? How do we balance these 5 areas in our behavior? What are our actions coming out of it? How do we want to show up for ourselves, for our families, for our community? We've been asked to do a lot. This last year has been really tough in so many ways and challenging, and it's also brought out really great things in us. So how do we optimize our time, our attention, and our space in order to have these 5 areas at least in the best at the best level they can be? So that's what we're working towards, and that's what I help people do. I love this quote. It's one of my faves. Edit your life frequently and ruthlessly. It's your masterpiece after all. And it's true, right? Because it's up to us. We know, I think deep inside often, there's these goals we have, these ideas, the things we want to accomplish, and how we get there. It's really up to us how we get there. And there's techniques and there's apps and there's to-dos and step by steps. But ultimately it comes down to us choosing what to do. Okay, so again, back to our 3 main areas. The clutter can become clearer. And again, this image, what I like about it is it's not one triangle, it's not one square, it's still many things because our lives are full, right? Most of us have lots going on, right? And it's a bit of a balancing act. So the idea here is to sort it out in a way that is manageable, that feels like it's doable, and there's a confidence that you have in doing your life, doing you, right? So with time, it can be calendar and commitments. Those are really the two. That's where it shows up, and that's what some of the work I do, we focus really heavily there. Attention is really about our focus. So it's great to be good at time management. Like I can block my calendar, do all what I need to do, but then I sit down in that hour that I've blocked off for copywriting, and oh my God, am I doing it? Like, is that really what I can pay attention to? So how do I get my brain to do that? So we really want to focus on attention management. Time management is great because we all have 24 hours. How we use it is, up to us and a work in progress. But our attention management, whoa, that's really, really key. So that comes down to decision making. What do we want that to look like? And then again, space is about efficiency. Like how can we use, and it's also about inspiration, because I think when we enjoy where we live and work, that brings a positive, optimistic, good energy to what we do. And I think it's very valuable to take a look at that and optimize it. So I've developed this cool technique, my last name, Tudos technique. And it's really simple. Five letters, 5 words. And really what it comes down to for each of these categories and other things is, first you got to think about what's the end result. Like, what do you want it to look like? How do you want to feel? So if you're feeling burdened and distracted and frustrated, like how do you want to feel instead? Calm, organized, exactly what to do, when to do it, that kind of thing, right? So you think about that. Then you're uncovering, what does it look like now? What's your current state? So when you look at your calendar, is it just overloaded? Like, is it unrealistic? Or if you look at your desk, is it cluttered? Is there stuff everywhere? So you're kind of uncovering what's there in order to move on to the D, the decision making. Okay, so now you know what you're working with. Like without that piece, it's hard to move ahead, right? So you got to know where you're starting from. Then you're going to decide, okay, what are my next steps? What are my actions? What are the changes I need to make? What habits will I try? New habits will I try to form, or keep the good ones that you're already doing? So that's the decision making. Then O is actually the implementation, the organizing of the system. So whether you choose, let's say with time, I'm going to get, the next slide shows some apps, or whether you're old school and you still use a printed calendar, like that works for people, or if it's on the wall or it's sticky notes or whatever the technique is, you're going to pick one that works for you. And this is really key, right? Because not everybody, we all work differently and we all learn differently. And so it's good to know you. And then the last one, S, is really important. And sometimes the step people miss or we forget about it. How do we sustain it? How do we make a system so that we're not constantly going back to the beginning and having to redo or rejig or rework? As much as this is a fluid process, you want to build in ways to make it sustainable so you know exactly what to do, how to do it. There's not wasting a lot of time figuring this out each time, right? It's like it's set out. So that's the technique. It's really it's simple, but it's not easy. Okay, so here are some things I've done and that I enjoy. There are tons of resources. So again, this is part of the work that I do with clients. We look at what resources might help. These are some that I find really, really helpful. So the 168 hours is that's how many hours we have in a week. Every single one of us. So there's no hierarchy there. How are we going to spend it? So this woman, Laura, she talks a lot about that. And it's about tracking and sometimes knowing, like really looking, breaking it down hour by hour, which is what time boxing is all about, is using a system where you're blocking out hours in your day to do certain tasks. Some apps that help, like Trello, is really good for this because you can move stuff around. So you can lay out what you want to accomplish and then move the blocks around to fit your lifestyle, your week, how you want things to turn out, right? Other ones, Notion, Todoist. Again, there's other apps if you're into that. Some people, digital, it's like I'm overloaded. I actually, I want to just have a different system, like a paper system, or even just an online calendar system, that works too. So that's for time, just as a snapshot. Again, this is really brief, right? Attention. So this guy, Chris Bailey, he's written a lot about attention management, and I really enjoy his take on it because, again, we can have all the best intentions with this first one, with time, but if we don't use our time well, that's our focus it's not there. And so Ambition and Balance is another newsletter that it's the people from Todoist actually that put out this newsletter. And I love just the title of it, right? We're ambitious, but we need to find the balance. Like, how do we do that? And some apps for this. Forest is really interesting. You plant a tree at the beginning of your task and you watch it grow for as long as you do the task. So it's like a visual. I use the Pomodoro technique. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like a 25-minute focused time, and then the timer goes off, you take a break, and then there's all sorts of adaptations. But the Pomodoro has been around for a while, and it's pretty simple and very effective. In terms of space, so we've got my Tudos technique, and if you think about that for like clutter, it works so well because you take it out, you figure out what to keep, what to let go of, what to recycle, what to sell, the stuff that we have stuff, right? We have so much stuff. And then you decide what to keep, how to keep it, and how to make your system work. I'm sure many of you know Marie Kondo. She's really, what would I say? Like, not everyone can do her system itself. It's pretty specific. But what she's done to elevate this idea of why are we keeping things that don't serve us, like time to let go of that stuff, is really, really helpful. And there's some apps for that, clutter-free, declutter. Again, there's resources, no shortage of resources. So those are just some things that, have helped me and have helped the people I work with. But it's really all about alignment, right? This is all about aligning these things, right? Goals with your values, the process with your lifestyle, right? Depends what's going on in your life, your results with your goals again, like where do you want to be, and what does that look like? What does it feel like too? And then you're reflecting on it, right? You're reflecting on these changes. And that's also about your gut instinct. That's your intuition saying, you know what? I don't have enough time to spend with my kids these days. I'm spending so much time on Zoom. It's crazy. I need, once we recognize these things, we can begin to make changes, but it's hard to do alone. It's really tough. So I think, oh, that's it. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. So that's just a little bit snapshot of some of the things that I work with, work on with clients. And again, it's jessicatudos.com. And it's really, really, I'm seeing that for a lot of people, the overwhelm and the sort of feeling stretched too thin and flailing a bit, floundering around, not knowing clearly like what to do, when, and how is really affecting how people feel. It feels heavy, feels overwhelming. It doesn't always feel good, and it's not the best of us. So I'm really committed to helping people get to the best of themselves through these processes. So, what's next? Now, what do we do?
Hi. Can I just say that was absolutely amazing.
Aw.
I, for one, am feeling everything you've just mentioned is like, whoa, how can this person like just know how I'm feeling? It's but it's refreshing to know that there's help out there as well.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you saying everything, and I love Tudos. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, my mind was blown when I was reading that. Honestly, that's so amazing. Again, thank you. I wanted to ask a quick question in regards to meditation.
Okay.
Like, what's your take on meditation? Like, how do you fit it into your life? Is it relevant to what we've been talking about?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think I would put for me in meditation under like a wellness category of ourselves, right? And again, when we're looking at how do we bring the best of ourselves to our home life, to our work life, to all of it, what are the elements that fit in? And I think our health and well-being, it critical. And in this age of distraction and things coming at us all the time and all of this online digital stuff we're doing, easing our mind and sort of calming the thinking brain down a bit is really hard. And so I think meditation and mindfulness being sort of a broader category. So the way I see it, again, I'm not an expert on this, but meditation being one way of being mindful. So mindful, let's say, is mindfulness as the umbrella. And then underneath, there's all these different ways to be mindful, which meditation has a sort of a somewhat of a specific, like this is what we do, and then we do this, and then we do. Mindfulness is a little more broad, right? You can be mindful when you take a walk outside or when you're eating, and you don't have to be sitting on a cushion, sort of quiet like that, although that is very effective. So I personally, I was one of those like, no, that's not for me. I'm too active. I have too much energy. I have a lot of energy. So I can't do that. Right. But that's exactly what I needed, was to calm my nervous system down and calm my thinking mind down so that I could see things rationally. And so I started doing it in person a couple of years ago. And then when COVID came, I was like, oh, now what? So I've been transitioning to some online options. Insight Timer is I don't know if you're familiar with Insight Timer, but it's worldwide global app, and there's amazing all kinds of meditations and mindfulness activities. And I just think I think it can be intimidating for some people. Like, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I'm not Buddhist or whatever. But it can be really simple, and it can be 5 minutes a day. And so for me, yeah, do I struggle with fitting that into my day? I do, even though I know how good it is and how important it is. It's like something that I really, you know, s- have to pay attention to. And I think the benefits have all been written about, and you can read a ton about all the good stuff. But really, it comes down to deciding, like, am I going to do that or not? Or how am I going to do
Yeah,
it? Right? Like, you can
yeah,
read all that.
absolutely.
You don't want it to be another, like, you should do this. You should do this too. And then you should eat healthy. And then you should do the should, right? So
Yeah.
I think finding the version that works for you in your life and your lifestyle right now is the best approach. But some form of it, absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have you
See,
tried?
I have. I used to be a very big meditation person. That's
Okay.
probably not the right way to say it. And I just lost. I think it's when
Mm,
COVID hit, and having
yeah.
to look after my daughter because she was
Yep.
homeschooling, and then struggling with that in itself, and running a business, and like you just said, like all this was just, and it hit me. And to be honest, I got into bad habits of not doing it. So now it's hard to get back
Yeah.
into the habit of doing it. But
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
something, and I take it you do recommend blocking that into your time a day as well, time for
Yes.
that.
Yes. I
Perfect.
think that's with a calendar. I know this works for me and for a lot of the people that I work with and a lot of clients. It sounds silly sometimes to block in like very little things that are important in your life, but to block in, well, this is not a silly little thing. So this, sorry, let me
Start again.
yes, yes, put it in your calendar. I mean, mindful, even if it's 10 minutes. If it's 10 minutes, that's what it is, and maybe meditation could be one form, as I was saying, but maybe it's a 10-minute walk where you're just being mindful of, I'm not thinking about my work right now. I'm not thinking, I homeschool, my child is home as well for online school. Oh, it's hard when they're 10 and they don't have the skills. And so it's sort of like I'm managing it, but not really. And anyway, that's that. So
Yeah,
I need my brain to settle down. And I bet you do
yeah,
too, right? It's just going like,
absolutely. Yeah, and it's this is just from me speaking. Even when I spend, and I love spending time with my daughter and my family, but even if I'm spending half an hour with my daughter and it's away from business and away from everything, my mind is still active. My mind is still thinking about, oh,
yes,
did I send that email, or did I answer this
yes,
person?
yes,
I do struggle being mindful on just what I'm doing. Like, well, be mindful, I suppose, and
yeah,
especially when I'm with my daughter, as much as we
yeah,
love painting and we love playing with Lego and
yeah,
whatever we do, I still have,
yeah.
okay. So I think meditation, and Jen's just popped into the comment here. Kim recommended Insight Timer to me a couple of months ago, and out of all the apps I was recommended, that was the best one.
Ah,
So
good. Yeah,
again, Jen, that's amazing. And you were right when you
there's
said Insight Timer. It's brilliant. It caters for all aspects
yeah.
of what people are used to, doesn't it? Guided, non-guided, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour.
Music, no music.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
perfect.
but I think that's the key, is to say, okay, I'm going to block I do it usually at night before bed. So it's like a block. Okay, I only put 20 minutes in there. So I'm not expecting more of myself, because that's part of it too, is sometimes if you put too high expectations on, and then you don't meet them, and then you feel disappointed. Then you're
Yeah,
down on yourself, and you get, and
yeah,
then, oh, I can't do it, and I'm not this enough, and I'm not that enough, and it just, like, that negative cycle begins, and that doesn't help anything, right? So in
yeah,
terms of
absolutely.
your question about calendar, I think visual, there's a connection between you making the act of typing it in or writing it in, and your brain accepting that and saying, okay, that's the first step to my decision. Whether you
Yeah,
do it, that's the next step.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But I'm a
Oh,
firm
yeah.
believer.
I have to admit, since time blocking, I don't time block everything. I should, like, if that's what I was asking you about. I should really block that. But since I started doing it, it's a life changer. It's a complete game changer.
Isn't it? I know.
You know, like, I'm not gonna, obviously I can't show you everything, but I kind of colour mine as well.
Yes.
So like, it's really orange. I'm very, very visual, and I do like my my planner or my physical diary. So yeah, I think that's really amazing.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just going to check if there's any questions. I don't think there is.
Sure.
Some questions. Hello, hey. Shelley's feeling it too heavy. Yeah, completely understand. Yeah, so I think that's it. But yeah, absolutely amazing. It's been incredible to hear from you, and I can't thank you enough for your time.
I thank you for inviting me. You've been doing great work in your group, and you know, I think I found you kind of organically. I don't even know. I actually don't know. Might have been Jono's group. Does Jono ring a bell to you? Jono?
Yes. I think so.
He's
yeah,
amazing, right? That guy like puts it out and spreads the love, right? So
he's definitely an inspiration.
Absolutely. I wonder what his calendar looks like.
That would be interesting.
He puts out a gazillion things, right? And that's the thing, though. I mean, just maybe I'll end it here. You know, like the way other people do their thing, their work, their life it's great to see, and it can be really inspiring.
Yeah.
However, I think it's so important to remember, like, our own, you know, vision and versions of ourselves that we, like that slide about being in alignment. I think it's so important, because it's easy to start comparing and to start like, I should do this, I should do more, I should do. And yeah, maybe we can make positive change. That's a good thing. We want, you know, that's what we want. But this idea of the pressure of it all, and this heavy, I keep doing this because it's like heavy, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like, how do we shift that to lighter? Like this my calendar feels okay, like it's manageable, and so that's, you know, again, that's the beauty in doing this kind of work, and helping people to sort that out and go through a process, because again, it's hard to do by yourself. You can should all day long, but it's sometimes you like, you just, you know, want someone to go, I get you, okay, here are some suggestions. Yeah,
absolutely, and I love that. Thank you.
Well, thanks again.
Thank you for joining us. Like I said, it's been amazing, and
cool.
Yeah, really
well, if anyone has any questions down, like, after, you know, I'll check back the posts, and I'm you know, I was checking in your group, seeing what's going on, so I'll follow up with any answers, and I'll put my link in there too, so if anyone wants to look for me. I have I'll just mention one quick thing that I'm doing that's new. It's all about paperwork, because sometimes I've heard from lots of people that their paperwork just drives them nuts, and it really slows them down, productivity. So I'm doing a special, a new program just focused on paperwork. And it's just going through, like, how to manage it, how to make a system that works, how to get it under control and stay under control. And so so that's a new program. It's on my website. $100 and do it.
Definitely. Please put your website link in the comments.
I will.
And
perfect.
And I've got my daughter shouting at me.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Right. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to stop the live stream.
Thanks, Kim.